Okay, I can see that we are live streaming and I can see that we are recording. So I will go ahead and it is 6:30. I'm Chairman Mike Curry and I'd like to call the Select Board Business Meeting on this 9th day of September of 2020. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the
republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Outstanding. Thank you, everyone. Okay, before we begin, I'd like to state for the record that we are not only being live streamed on the YouTube web platform, but the entire proceeding this evening, except any executive sessions, are being recorded for both TCTV Cable Station 8 and later viewing on the TCTV YouTube channel. Just doing a quick roll call for who we have with us tonight. I can see that we have the Vice Chair, Mr. Bennett, Terry Griffiths, Tim Toth, and that gives us our quorum for this evening. We have the Town Administrator, we have the Assistant Town Administrator, we have the Executive Assistant, Hall Young. We have TCTV in attendance from various places across the town. And we have several guests that are joining us this evening for a few items on our agenda. Speaking of our agenda, it has been set no later than 48 hours out by law and is publicly available at the official source for town information, templetonma.gov. Although I have discretion as chairperson to add and remove from this agenda, it has been set to allow for time, personnel resources, and public awareness. I reserve the right to move agenda items around to best fit our business and guests. Thank you. Speaking of public participation, make sure that I'm watching the chairperson to add or remove from this agenda. There we go. Public participation comment is still possible via the chat section of the live stream on YouTube. I and TCTV and maybe others are monitoring the chat section and will address comments and questions as they appear or when appropriate. Remember, this chat area is part of the permanent record, so please state your name and optionally your street as you would during town meeting. And remember that some names, we may ask for that if you don't identify yourself, as most YouTube names are rather informal. Speaking is a right afforded to the residents of this community. Non-residents may watch, but may submit questions in writing through the town's website for processing. And also the live chat is about 10 to 20 seconds behind the live meeting. We do have a public hearing this evening, so just a couple quick rules of the road for Zoom if you have not used it before. If you do not have business that is right in front of the board, you do not have to use your video. If you do have business in front of the board, please use video when possible. Also, you'll notice that you have control of your mute button. Please use your mute button when you are not speaking. Although TCTV in the chair can place any and all on mute at any time, it is easier for you to control your own button. If you wish to see material shared in the screen, please request that of myself. Refer to the email or whatever document it is, and I can actually pull it up for all those to see and it will become part of the public record. This will help everyone stay synchronized and be helpful to the viewing public. If you wish to speak, you can raise your hand, as I'm doing right now. You can use the Zoom button, which there's a thumbs up or a hand raise. Or you can just politely break in if you're connecting only by telephone. Viewers of the live stream may ask questions that are acknowledged by the chair or any other member that may be monitoring the YouTube live stream. Okay, all housekeeping aside, let's go ahead and dive into the agenda this evening. At this time, is there any public comment? Okay, hearing no request for public comment this evening, we're going to move on into the agenda. First item in under section 4, if you're following along at home with the agenda, is our meeting minutes for the 12th of August, the 26th of August, and the 2nd of September. There's one administrative note that Select Board Member Griffiths brought to my attention. For the minutes of August 12th, we believe that the second page, which includes items H and beyond, are not in the online version. So Holly, I'd like to pass over the minutes for August 12th. That way we can add them in with the missing page. Yeah, it's basically the second page. It has items H, I, J, section 7, section 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Okay, so one page got left out. Is that?
That is correct.
Okay, I'll fix that for next time.
So that leaves us with the minutes for the 26th and the 2nd. I'll entertain motions to accept those at any time. First, did the other board members realize that, or is it a good call? I really didn't leave it up to you. I just wanted to make sure that we got a complete record out there. Tim, Jeff, you good with that?
I'm good.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, so I did have a correction, but should I wait till they're all, till the next time?
For the 12th?
Yes, sir.
We can, so when we get the other page up there, we can actually, when we're voting on it, we can make that correction.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, any motions for the 26th or the 2nd?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, Tim.
I move to approve the meeting minutes of 8/26/2020 and 9/2/2020 as presented.
I have a motion for both sets of minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I actually don't have the ones from the 2nd in my packet. I just have the 26th and the 12th.
the second, and I can take a look at the online one, and then but I do have it in my paper packet for, that's the minutes from the annual retreat, the goal setting.
Oh, I have that. Okay, sorry. Yep.
Okay, all right. All right, on the motion, then it's been seconded to approve the minutes for the 26th of August and the 2nd of September. Any further discussion or corrections? Hearing none. Oh, hi, Julie. Okay, if there are no further questions or considerations for the set of minutes for the 26th and the 2nd, on that motion, how do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
I vote yes on the 26th and I abstain on the 2nd.
Okay. Thank you, duly noted. And lastly, not lastly, I'm last. Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Yeah, and I'll have to remember the next time because I believe I was absent for the 12th. Yes, I know I was. Okay. Okay, that takes care of our minutes. We have no executive session minutes. We are now to new business. Mr. Terenzini or Mr. Lamontagne, do we have any introductions of new employees or appointments this evening?
We do not, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you, Carter. All right, we are now going to move into the public hearing for engine braking and north. Go ahead. Did someone? Okay, we're going to move into the public hearing. that has been posted, the original posting prior to August 24th. This is a public hearing for engine braking using the wrong word, petition for engine braking along North Main and Depot Road. The petitioner is Rick LeBlanc, and I believe he is with us this evening. Rick, are you here? Okay, while we figure out how to get Rick off of mute, I will go ahead and
I'm here.
okay, thank you, Rick. I'll accept a motion to open the hearing.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. On the motion to open the public hearing for engine brake solicitation along North Main and Depot, how do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
yes,
Terry?
Yes,
And I vote yes as well. Okay, public hearing is open. Time now is 6:44. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the notice for the public hearing was made August 24th appropriately. This evening, the process will go like most hearings. We will wind up hearing from the petitioner, that is Rick LeBlanc. Mr. LeBlanc is with us via Zoom. At that time, we'll allow for questions from the board. We'll then present any further exhibits that may be important to the petitioner. We will then allow any dissenting views, whether they are sent in via email or if anyone as a public hearing, if anyone joins us that wishes to offer a dissension. At that point, we will then close any questions, close the hearing, and make any determination. Does anyone have any question about the process? Okay, great. Petitioner, Mr. Leclerc, would you go ahead and present your case?
LeBlanc.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Terry, what did I say?
Mr. Leclerc.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. LeBlanc, I apologize.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. The reason I want to thank you for listening to me. We've been living in Templeton for 13 years. Love the town. It's a small town, love it. But we don't like the trucks, the J brake. We've, called Graves. I've called a few of the trucking people that have gone by and kind of asked them to lay off the J brake and mostly slow down. There's no hill, there's no use for using a J brake. And, the speed limit's 30 miles an hour. And so I've been kind of trying to get this solved. So I think we're finally almost there. And I would just be nice to be able to at least have some signs put up to where the J brake would stop, because you cannot even have your windows open where I live. It's just crazy. And it's just the noise. There's no peace, it's just so noisy with the trucks. And they start real early in the morning, anywhere from 5 o'clock all day to 4:30. I mean, sometimes I can sit there and count 45 to 50 trucks within, a half hour, and all of them use their J brake. Some are worse than others, but some are a little bit better than others. So that's what I was trying to explain.
Mr. LeBlanc, part of the public hearing you're petitioning the town to install signs? Is that what the petition is for?
Yes, for the no J brake, the engine brake, to stop from them using the engine brake.
Okay. And, if you'll permit me to ask a question. First, let me ask the board, does any of the board have any questions for the petitioner about bylaw or anything?
I'm just reviewing the papers Holly just sent at the start of the hearing.
Okay, if you're going to refer to any of them, just let me know. That way I'm able to pull them up on the screen. Right now, I'm projecting the area affected, which is, if you follow my cursor, it's North Main Street and Depot Road.
Yes, Depot.
Depot, sorry. We're all Massachusetts natives, right? Depot, Depot. So go ahead, Terry. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that we were offering any exhibits as part of the record through the Zoom stream. Okay. So if it appears that the board members don't have any questions right now, but what I wanted to clarify, Mr. LeBlanc, is right now the town has recently voted the Jake Brake bylaw. Basically says for any residents that wish to petition the Board of Selectmen, can, and I want to make sure I'm using the proper terminology. The Board of Selectmen can place a traffic order that would cause signage to be installed, notifying against the use of Jake braking. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, if there were any other, all right, Mr. Terenzini, you have your hand up, please.
I just want to clarify for the board that the establishment of the traffic order goes beyond the mere placing of signs. The placing of the signs connotes where it ends and how long the zone goes for. And then there are fines which the police department can impose for violations. So this does go beyond some mere signage.
Okay. All right. Yes, but I'd like to call the petitioner is finished and there are no more questions for him at this time. I'd like to call the next witness. Chief Bennett, you're with us this evening.
Yes, good evening, everyone. If I could give you a little background on this. This actually was a Board of Health complaint. Ms. Witta actually reached out to me. I'm not saying that Mr. LeBlanc did not make previous complaints about the noise in the area, but we had no mechanism to enforce it or to handle it. Ms. Witta had started an investigation. I believe you have that report. She
Yep.
reached out to me. We met and we kind of like brainstormed about how we could address this. Through my research and looking into it, I found that a bylaw was needed to give us any kind of remedy that we could have on this. So I started researching the bylaw. I wrote the bylaw, submitted it to town council. Town council made any corrections that was in it. The bylaw is not town-wide. It is only area specific because we do not believe that is needed throughout the entire town. Because as Mr. Bennett had pointed out at the town meeting before, Jake brakes do have a legitimate use. They are for safety and they are for wear and tear on the vehicle, helps reduce the wear and tear on the vehicle. However, in Mr. LeBlanc's area of North Main Street, there really is no need for a Jake break. It is not a grade of a hill that is so excessive that they cannot do a moderate speed. The speed limit is only 30. So basically what's happening is that they're building speed as they go on the straightaway. And instead of just doing the normal speed and slowing down cautiously, they Jake brake so that they can make the corner to go down Depot. So once we got the bylaw done, I presented the bylaw. It was approved to go in front of to go on the warrant for town meeting. At town meeting, for those of you that weren't on the board, I presented the bylaw, I defended the bylaw, and it passed. So now we have this bylaw. Mr. LeBlanc had made a complaint to the station, and he was advised that now that the bylaw is in place, there is a proper procedure to go forward. And that is to bring it before the Board of Selectmen for a public hearing so that we could designate this area in town Jake break prohibited. Basically, that's where we are now.
Great, thank you, Chief. Any board member questions for Chief Bennett?
Mr. Chairman, I have none.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
Nor do I.
Okay. Okay, before we move on to any dissenting views, and right now I only have one. It's either going to be an email that was emailed to the Board of Selectmen, or Mr. Wazakewicz is going to join us this evening. Are there any other witnesses for the petitioner? And Chief, just so you know, I did broadcast that report that Laurie Witta produced along with it. So there was we did see a copy of that just now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Any other witnesses before we move to dissenting view? Okay. Hearing none. Mr. Wazakewicz, are you with us at all?
Yeah, I am. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
So, John, you've got the floor is now yours for a dissenting view.
Okay. I just typed out an email, and I sent it to you this afternoon, but I can read that. I kind of, the last few days, just put my thoughts together and typed out something. Let's see here. You want me to just read it? What I sent in?
Yeah, John, whatever you want to do. It's a public hearing, so I wanted to make sure that we were hearing both sides.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just read it. It says,
Okay.
Dear Select Board, I'm writing to you in regards to your posted an upcoming hearing on engine brakes, or quote, Jacob engine brakes. I'm aware that last spring, 2019, at a town meeting, it was voted for by a mere 3 votes. That's town of Templeton shall regard engine brakes on a truck as a nuisance and therefore not be allowed in town. I don't feel this is in the best interest of the town, its businesses, or its residents to be limiting a safety device and possibly in the future ticketing working truck drivers or drivers of what little business the town does have, for those drivers doing what they've been taught, what they know is best, and what is recommended by truck manufacturers. I'm aware that this has been brought about by one person, Mr. LeBlanc, who has only lived on North Main Street near Depot Road since 2007 and seems to have a bone to pick with truck drivers of W. Graves, as he has chased them down to yell at them in the past. Mr. LeBlanc seems to find the engine brakes personally annoying, but I do not feel one person's feelings unless backed by data such as vehicle numbers, times of day, frequency of engine brake use, types of trucks, days of the week, or decibel level of noise can back up his claim. I do not think any studies of such have been done, but I think if the town intends to pursue any regulation or restrictions any further, such studies should take place before any regulation or restriction. I do find it ironic that Mr. LeBlanc, if memory serves me correct, does carpentry with saws and nail guns, which are obviously loud. Furthermore, I believe Mr. LeBlanc owns or did own a Harley-Davidson motorcycle known for its iconic and distinct loud engine and exhaust rumble, unlike any other motorcycle. In addition, his children own or have also owned dirt bikes and a side-by-side ATV, which are also very loud machines and can be known as annoying recreational vehicles. Based on what Mr. LeBlanc uses, owns, or has owned, I would find it difficult to believe he has any medical reason for avoiding loud noises. I could be sympathetic to someone having PTSD to loud noises or a heart condition, in which case then maybe a restriction of engine brakes in that immediate area could be necessary to avoid causing harm to someone. Mr. LeBlanc and the small group of townspeople that voted for the bylaw to restrict engine brake usage seem to think their engine brakes are a novelty item. They are not. They are not like a custom exhaust on a Harley or a performance exhaust on a dirt bike, which are more of a novelty item, unless someone was using it for their job, as in racing. This seems to be a case of punishing all the working drivers for someone's dislike of a certain noise, not just loud noise. The engine brakes in question are not a novelty item or being used for recreation. They're a main standard braking system used by working vehicles. Engine brakes are included on larger trucks to save on wear and tear of brake pads and shoes. It does make a rumble when applied, which is automatic when a driver takes his foot off the throttle. The rumble is from air diversion on the engine to slow the speed of the engine itself, in turn slowing the vehicle. Engine brakes are common on almost every larger truck that requires a commercial driver's license. The majority of dump trucks, fire trucks, oil delivery trucks, trash trucks, tow trucks, and box trucks, etc. have them. It is a system installed by most manufacturers of larger vehicles. The engine brake in many cases could shut off by a dash switch, so that when the throttle is released by the driver, engine braking does not occur. Then again, some of the newest trucks, I'm told, do not have a switch to shut off the engine brake. By using engine brakes first, trucks slow down safely, but also prevent brake fade, in which applied wheel brakes of pads or shoes and rotors overheat and can eventually stop working while braking or even cause wheel and tire fires. The method of using engine brakes is also taught in truck driving schools. The Mass DOT and the Mass R&B want the engine brake the primary braking system used on trucks. Engine braking is legal on every state road in Massachusetts, and Mass DOT will not allow any state road to be posted restricting its use. Some towns have tried to post state roads with and without appropriate size, color, and shape signage, and Mass DOT has notified the towns and removed such signage. There are cases easily found on the internet. I'm not aware of any other area in town that is subject to any engine braking complaint. In fact, I haven't heard of any complaints about engine braking in town before 2007. Seaman Paper Mill and W.J. Graves and their customers who most often use North Main Street and Depot Road have been in town for 50 plus years. I personally have lived on top of Orchard Lane Hill behind Mr. LeBlanc with land on North Main for 30 years. My parents have lived there for 51 years and never had a complaint of trucks or noise. Mark Anderson lives in the next house past Mr. LeBlanc and has no complaint of any trucks, and he has lived there for 32 years. Jessica Lajo also lives on Depot Road and has no complaint. The majority of the time trucks are using the road is during working hours of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, and Saturdays from 7 a.m. to noontime, not late at night, like on a highway like Route 2. One of the main reasons that engine brakes are applied in the area of North Main Depot Road is a sharp curve when driving north, followed by a long, winding, steep downhill grade for about a mile. When driving south, trucks have to stop before turning left onto North Main Street. This area is a major throughway for all vehicles traveling Route 2 to East Templeton Center on Otter River and Route 68 into Winchendon. That area without large trucks using one of their braking systems would be far more dangerous. Why would anyone logically think that a truck loaded between 80 and 103,000 pounds going into a sharp corner in a steep downhill should be limited to only using half of their braking ability or half of their safety systems available? Even for those trucks stopping at the Depot Road, North Main Street intersection, not allowing a driver to use one of their main braking systems to stop does not make sense. That definitely is not the best interest of safety, not for the residents, especially not for the drivers. Please consider wasting no more time of town officials nor taxpayer money on this subject and delete this bylaw altogether. I feel this is a personal feeling and not a logical solution to a real problem. I do not feel a person who himself contributes to noise pollution in their recreation should dictate to everyone else who is trying to work the amount of noise someone else should make with a safety device taught and encouraged by state and federal agencies. Sincerely, John Waskiewicz, East Templeton.
Okay, thank you, John. I just want to remind viewers and the board that John's comments are specifically towards the North Main and Depot Road solicitation tonight, and they are not, we're not debating bylaw this evening. Mr. LeBlanc, I'll allow rebuttal, but your comments go through me. They're not to be directed at Mr. Waskiewicz. Is that clear?
Yes.
But you absolutely allow you to rebut anything.
Well, I do understand about the engine brake, safety, the wear and tear in the trucks. It's a lot better for the safety, but it's not the J brake we're now eliminating all over through the whole town. I don't understand what I've asked a lot of the residents on my street about the J braking, and they've had complaints about it. They complained about it. Yes, I am a carpenter. I do use tools, but that's got nothing to do with the J brake and the speeding of the trucks. Speed limit's 30 miles an hour. There's no hill. There's no need to use the J brake. Come and live in my house and with the windows open, and then you'll be able to see what I'm talking about and maybe understand. Or sit in my driveway at the corner, and when they start running at 5:30 to 4:30, it just keeps going day after day after day. And that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. Okay, do I have any other dissenting views this evening?
Mr. Chairman, it sounds more of a speeding problem. That if the speeding law was enforced, that, you know, I agree. I respect Mr. Wostakiewicz's letter. I think it was well written, and I did go online on YouTube,
Terry?
the videos, and is that okay? So,
Well, we're not deliberating it now. Now's the time to ask questions and collect information. Once we close the hearing, we'll actually be able to deliberate. So,
okay. Did you want to put up Lori Weeder's findings? Just, it seems.
I did, because Chief Bennett was discussing them. I put them up at the same time while he was discussing them, but I can offer them back. What I was going to do before any final questions from the board, I was going to offer the few pieces of information or evidence that we have. I think there's like 2 other documents that I wanted to share, but if you want me to put that Lori Witta's report back up, I can do that.
Because it seemed like if you compare them, it went down, is what I'm saying. That so
Okay.
it improved the report. Her report was different from the initial report.
Okay. Stand by. Okay, so this is a June 18th report from Lori Witta to Chief Bennett on North Main and Depot Road.
I thought there was a more frequent one. That's the first one.
Okay. Then there is this exchange. I'm going to move on to the next one. Terry, are you good with that?
I'm fine, thank you. They're
Okay.
all from 2018. I was looking for 2019. 2020, actually, from this year, if there was a report from, because in our, well, we didn't approve the minutes of August 12th, but there was supposed to be a report to us for September 5th.
Right, and that report was encapsulated within Lori's report, and that's why Chief Bennett's with us this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Again, the map, I've already displayed the map. I did that while Mr. LeBlanc was giving his opening statement. The suggestion for placement of the signs I offer as evidence. I think the people following along in the recording will have a better time because they're able to pause the screen to read fully through these.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, Julie.
may I ask a question to the chief?
Absolutely.
Chief Bennett, I'm just curious as to, have you had a lot of traffic stops with those particular businesses in that area over the last few years? Like, is there a history of officers on patrol having any type of concern if they happen to be parked in the area when they use their J breaks? Or have they given any, I guess, written over the years, like suggestions to these companies, slow your trucks down, follow the limit a little better? I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen activity and concern with safety, both for the truck drivers and for the residents of that particular area.
It's not a speeding issue with the trucks.
You don't believe it is?
I do not believe it is.
Okay, thank you.
We do have personal cars that are a speeding issue that we address on a regular basis. But you also got to understand that with all the roads in town and only 2 guys on at a time, you can only have 1 guy sit for so long. I mean, they do have other duties and responsibilities, but it is not the commercial trucks that are speeding. We regularly are out there running radar, and it's not them.
Okay, that's really good to know. I appreciate that because I know that there are issues there with regular drivers. That particular area, I live very close myself. So I've seen the speeding in that area. I've never really noticed any of the trucks, like, really. So I was just curious if it is at all like some are saying that they may be speeding in that area, but you don't seem to see that. Your patrols don't see that when they're in the area, correct?
To an extent that it's excessive. I mean, everybody does a little over the speed limit. Nobody drives 30 miles per hour. Well, very few. And it's not because of the speed that they have to slow down to make that corner. It's just that it's easier in my opinion, and I totally understand the safety ramifications of a Jake brake, but it's easier to Jake brake around the corner than it is to apply the brakes.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Julie.
Okay, I've got one last piece of evidence that, when we talk about the different companies, on your screen right now, this was a list of companies that were mailed the notice for this evening's public hearing. So I'll go ahead and quickly, I'll scroll through them. This is based on observations of the Board of Health on what companies might, when she went out and did a site visit with Mr. LeBlanc. And the list was also mailed to, as she has the note up here in the corner, mailed to 45, plus or minus 45 abutters. And that's the copy of the hearing that went out. Okay, I don't have, unless someone has any other evidence that they would like to present within this hearing. Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
Just a thing, what Chief Bennett just mentioned about it's easier to use the Jake brake than it is to apply the truck brakes while making the turn to Depot Road. Remember, when you apply the brakes, you are applying them not only to the rear wheels, but the steer wheels. And when the steer wheels stop turning, especially if in the wintertime, if the road is slick, you apply the brakes to take a turn. You don't turn, you slide. So it's not so much that it's easier to use the Jake brake, it's safer for everyone if they use the Jake brake while they're making the turn. You want those steer wheels to turn so the truck will go where the driver's intending it to go, rather than sliding through that intersection, especially in the wintertime. Maybe not so much in the summer, but nonetheless, when you're trying to turn 80,000 pounds and you're applying the brakes, they apply to the steering wheels as well as the rear wheels. So I just want that to be clear.
Okay, and I just want to clarify your comments, Jeff. You're speaking as a subject matter expert based on that. If you just want to quickly state as a witness what your experience is with trucks, just briefly.
Well,
you drive trucks. I mean, that's all I need. I just want to,
Okay.
I'm not really speaking as a select board member offering evidence. You're basically speaking as a subject matter expert. And I do appreciate that you added that. Okay. Okay, to the board, before we close the hearing, are there any further questions or offers of evidence? Or exhibits, I should say. Okay, hearing none, I'll let the petitioner give a final statement. Rick, if you just want to give a final statement.
No, I want to say thank you for your time, for listening to me, and just hope you guys can take consideration that, you know, the noise, and just put themselves in my position that we, you know, it's a residential area, and I just thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you to, I assume that, yeah, both of you are listening in. So thank you to the LeBlanc family. Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on closing the public hearing for North Main and Depot Jake brake solicitation? Oh, okay, hearing none. On the vote to close the public hearing, how do you vote, Julie? Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Julie? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't hear you, sorry. And I vote yes as well. All right, we are out of the public hearing. I'll entertain any action that the board may request at this time. We've basically got three options.
Mr. Chairman, I move to take no action on the request of Mr. LeBlanc for a no engine brake zone on North Main and Depot Road.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further comments or discussion on the motion to take no action at the request of Mr. LeBlanc for a no engine braking zone on North Main and Depot Road? I will say that I very much appreciated Chief Bennett's perspective on this, is that action to if you're in the public and you have a gripe, if you want change within your community, there's a process by which we have to go through. And as Chief Bennett discussed it this evening, we've basically done that. We have a bylaw, we have a process, we are the body that basically enables the enforcement for this traffic order. So I applaud that. I think that this is, I also listened to this dissenting view as well. I understand that it's a safety device. I've listened to the evidence on both sides to be able to say it's a low speed area. It's not the trucks that they're a problem. You can go around a corner, all these different things. My feeling is that we have a process. The community is looking to exercise that process. And if we didn't have a bylaw against it, then it would be a different matter, but we do. And I would support, I don't support taking no action.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep, please go ahead,
Mr.
Julie.
Chairman, I would agree with you on that, where there is a bylaw in place. And it was put in place, obviously, for reasons. So I'm not sure that we should not take any action at all tonight. I have to agree with you on that. Not sure what the action should be. However, I think we should not leave it at that.
Right. You know, as I was looking for a motion, is basically three things. Either you vote to take no action, or you do take action in compliance with the bylaw, or in suggestion of the bylaw, or you can order a continuance to the next business meeting if you needed more information. Any other comments before we take a vote? Okay, hearing none on the motion to take no action on the request of Mr. LeBlanc for a no engine braking zone on North Main and Depot Road. How do you vote, Julie?
No.
Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote no. The motion does carry. Okay, thank you for everyone's participation this evening in the public hearing. We have closed the hearing and made a determination. We're going to go ahead and move on along with the agenda. Okay, next item on the agenda this evening is town property use for the Lions Club Haunted House and Christmas tree sale. With us this evening to speak on it is Sue Larrabee and Mike Dixon. Do we have anyone else?
My husband Jim Larrabee is here also.
Jim Larrabee.
Hey Jim, how are you?
Wonderful.
Okay, I'm going to go over to the agenda. Sue or Mike, do you want to just do a quick recap of what the request is?
Mike, you're on mute.
I sent a proposal to Holly requesting permission to consider allowing us to use the town property at the gazebo side of the town property. Okay, you have it right there.
Yep.
To still have our haunted house, haunted Halloween event. This year it's October 31st rather, is a Saturday. In view of COVID, we thought of different ideas. This is a preliminary proposal. We thought we would have it in the same location, the gazebo side of the common, as I mentioned. We considered having it limited to, and this was kind of just a target, you know, children grade 6 or under, not actually asking permission, but basically asking that children to be accompanied by an adult. Quite often we get teenagers who just circulate around and around and around. We really kind of want to target the younger children to be able to participate and have fun in this. lost a lot this year with, all the kids have actually, with COVID. And we thought of what we would do would, if we may decorate the gazebo, but have it taped off so there's no admittance, just to have a spooky thing there. Because there's no ability to do social distancing in the gazebo. Originally, years ago, we did have a tent set up next to the gazebo. That's quite a large tent that we own. And we would have that set up and with haunted gazebo, haunted, masks, people scaring kids and stuff like that. We would require everybody to wear a mask. We thought if we started the lines way down by the church, across the street from the church, and had like it roped off the perimeter of the common, and had its distance, had labeling or stakes 6 feet apart, and had us out there to monitor that, and had the families spacing appropriately, and then allowed them to walk up by the sidewalk and then into the tent, and again keeping them socially distanced the whole time, and then they could go through the tent, and we would hand them bags of pre-bagged candy at the end, and just kind of ask them to move on. And it says there, no mingling, obviously no mingling. Yes, absolutely. We would wear masks and gloves as well. And we understand that, we're kind of basing it on a point in time where we kind of know what the rules are today, but we don't know what the rules are going to be come October. And we may have to make some adjustments to be able to implement or comply with any orders that Governor Baker's office would ask us to implement, or ask the public to implement. So that's kind of our thoughts. I don't know if the board has specific ideas of do's and don'ts, or what.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes, go ahead, please.
So on the notes that were handed in our agenda packet, I believe it was from Lori. She said state still at 50 persons, max outdoor events. How would they manage this? And I just noticed that a lot of places register ahead of time. I don't know if that helpful. I'm just trying to be helpful. If you had, I don't know what the turnout's been in the past, but if that would help you to have registration ahead of time, then you could manage the crowd, so to speak, and stay within the governor's orders there.
Is the 50, what area is does a 50 person maximum cover? Do you know? I didn't think of that, but that's a very good question. Is it like, an acre, a baseball field, a football field?
She just put outdoor events.
Outdoor events, yeah.
I know we went to Red Apple Farm this weekend. We registered ahead of time and for a certain slot, and
Okay.
it was smooth sailing.
Okay. So I guess then we would kind of have to determine what number 50% would be. And I mean, I could go up and talk to people at Red Apple Farm and see how they did it.
Well, she put at 50 persons max for outdoor events, not 50%, 50.
Okay, 50 persons.
On the other thing she wrote, contact Rich Curtis for help, must be at least 50% open walls. Mike, I don't know if you heard of that.
Like instead of.
That's under limit participation. Not sure how to recommend for high school grades. I don't know. Oh, have the haunted attractions in a tent next to the gazebo. And she wrote, must be at least 50% open walls. I'm not sure what that means.
Okay.
So open
It
walls
can't be
to me,
enclosed.
and Mike, Mike's with us tonight, presumably to talk through these things. open walls. So if you have an outdoor, if you have a cover with open walls,
Yep,
like a circus tent or something, those are open walls.
right.
Does that make sense, Terry?
Could you please repeat that? She got it, but I was trying to read. It's
So think of a wedding reception where you have like a circus tent or like a Taylor rental tent where where the walls are not restricted. You have open walls. You don't have like the walls of a tent installed.
yeah.
And I did put up within our packet. Holly included all of the governor's restrictions and otherwise. So outdoor gatherings right there is on your screen. Outdoor gatherings are 25% of the maximum permitted occupancy of the facility or space as documented in the occupancy permit on record with the municipal building department or other record holder. If there's a capacity limitation, I'm not sure what the gazebo, I don't know if that has that, but there's some guidance there. 8 persons per 1,000 square feet and never more than 50 persons in the gathering in a single or outdoor space.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, I mean, I love to brainstorm, and in my head, I'm just seeing like the whole common area instead of just the gazebo, but it's how much the Lions Club wants to put into it. Like maybe have coffins where somebody comes out of a coffin, or you have hay bales and you got, some creature coming out of the hay bales. I mean, it's still Halloween. We still have kids. We just need to reinvent the memory and make
Right.
it for the kids. And I'm sure that I can come up with a lot of torturous Halloween things.
Yeah, Sue, it sounds like you just had a volunteer for your committee.
It sounds like that.
I agree with Terry. I agree with a lot of this. I think there's a way to do it. And we've got to be able to carry on traditions and otherwise. We just obviously have state imposed restrictions, and we want to make sure that we're being safe with our neighbors.
Correct.
I really liked your idea, Sue, about getting some best practices for people who have already had some experiences on how to do that. And because you're coming to us at the beginning of September, there's room. We've got some wiggle room. We've got some room to breathe and come up with some safety measures.
Okay. Yeah,
Mike-
that's why we decided to address this sooner than later,
I agree. I think that was fantastic.
so that we could get your feedback and your concerns and recommendations.
Mr. Dixon, you came on tonight to talk on Halloween or Christmas trees or both? Uh-oh. We don't hear you. Nope. We did hear him before, right?
Yes.
I don't know that I did or not.
No, I didn't hear him before.
No,
That-
when he first came on, we were chatting about how long the hearing was going to be, and we did hear him.
Right.
Yes.
Do you have me now?
Yes.
Okay.
I was just about ready to text you the telephone number.
Rich Curtis asked me to cover the meeting for emergency management and CERT. He had a previous engagement he had to go to. So I was asked to specifically talk about the Halloween at the gazebo. Full disclosure, I am a member of the Lions Club also, but tonight I'm wearing my CERT emergency management hat. Do we have ways to keep people distant 6 feet apart in the area immediately surrounding the gazebo? We did it to a limited degree at the town hall. We have 4-foot stakes that we can distance out at 6 feet. We had signage asking everybody to maintain 6 feet distancing. We have mask required signage. So we could support laying out the common in some fashion to keep people separated. I did like what I saw in the Lions Club letter about having the people go in one end of the tent and out the other. As you know, that's being asked in a lot of buildings, that you don't use the same entrance and exit, this being the same portal. So that's okay. Knowing the tent does have removable walls. So 50% of the walls being up is not an issue. So that could be done. I don't know what the turnout will be this year. It's been kind of down the past couple of years, and with COVID, I wouldn't know what to anticipate as far as kids being out on the common. I don't know if there are going to be other activities. Normally, there's the Horribles Parade that the police department puts on. Sometimes the Historical Society has a museum open. First Church at some points have had things at the First Church. I have not heard of any of that going on. So I don't know what to anticipate as far as numbers. I am in support of trying to pull this off, just so that there'd be something for the kids to do. So if the club does get the approval to do the activity, I'm sure we can work with the club to make it work for them somehow.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Holly, you have your hand up?
Yes, sorry, trying to unmute it. I just wanted to let you know that Lori Wita was watching, and she did text me that it's 50 for the outdoor event, and about the tent, it should be 2 sides open. And she said she could call Sue tomorrow and discuss that with her if you just want to make it, part of the motion that her parameters should be followed.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yep, and just a reminder, we're not asking, the town's not putting this on. This is a request for the use of town property.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I guess we're separating these two out. Let's deal with what are the board's feelings on the haunted gazebo for the use of town property? Do you hear enough? Do you want to continue this to our next meeting, which wouldn't be until the 23rd? Or do you have sufficient evidence right now that you have enough team support that the permission for the use of the town property is warranted?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Jeff.
just a couple of questions. Just the usual stuff for the use of the common regarding insurance. Checking with the police chief and the fire chief about traffic, or again, I don't know what the numbers will be and where the parents park, to walk the little kids around, and I don't know how many, how big it will be, but I know for the town, the common, generally, the thing is for entities that are using it is to have insurance the last, I don't know, 3-4 years or so.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we always fill out a certificate form, an insurance certificate, and provide it to Holly
Okay, that's,
for any events that we do on town property.
Jeff, any other questions?
nope, that was my thing.
Okay. Carter, you got your hand up?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, yeah, please, Mike.
I could tell you also that the CERT team normally handles all the crossings to watch out for the kids crossing the roads. We normally do the intersection of South Road, Dudley Road. We do the crossing by the extension of South Road where the gazebo is, and crossing the street, Route 2A. And then we do a little bit further on, there's a crosswalk down by Baldwinville Road and the First Church. And we watch that crossing also. So we normally have 1 to 2 people at each one of those intersections, and then we'll have somebody at the gazebo.
Thanks, Mike. Carter, you got your hand up?
The requirement for the standard insurance certificate being provided before the event can occur is included in the draft motion that Holly prepared for the board's consideration.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Sue, and maybe Laurie and Mike, I'm just wondering if we do make the motion, it says approve the use of the gazebo in area just outside of the gazebo. If we would leave the just outside of the gazebo out for COVID purposes so they can expand their field, expand their field, you know, for COVID purposes. So instead of, you know what I'm saying? Like
I don't.
increase their area so they can, their capacity. You have to have 6 feet, the distancing. So if we have a smaller area, then the amount of people and the distancing might be a little tight. But if we leave it, instead of writing the area just outside of the gazebo, we leave out just outside of the gazebo and just put outside of the gazebo or something so that they're not confined.
Okay, the intent for that was, and I understand what you're saying totally, is if we were able to have permission to use the tent and have displays in the tent that would require electricity, then we would be using electricity receptacles from the gazebo. But I understand what you're saying. We would be using probably that entire common area where, you know, whether it's, we have some other things positioned, as you mentioned, coffins and things of that nature. But at least certainly the people would be traversing in a pathway that we would stake out so that it's socially distanced. So we would be using basically the whole common area.
Right, so leave out the word just outside and put
I
in.
don't think that's an issue, Terry. I think 100% what you said, you can leave out the word just.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So if there, I think just the only other comment, depending on how the board votes, this is something that every year since I've been in town. So it's not even a question of, is this a good idea? I'm sure that the insurance and everything is there. It's that certification, Sue, Jim, and Mike, and everybody to be, and Laurie who's watching. It's that feeling for us to say, of course, we're going to grant you permission to use the town property for something that's gone on. We just want to make sure that there's proper COVID planning, and you're doing that. The one thing that I would absolutely say, based on what the board gives you tonight, make sure that your marketing in your, the word gets out on how you're doing something.
Right.
So that they know people know ahead of time, rather than just trying to figure it out in the dark or in dusk when they get there. So marketing is key in this one.
Okay, thank you. Good point.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Absolutely, please, Julie.
Can I just suggest too that you continue, Sue, because I support this. I've been in town for many years and I love these events. And I'm with Mike on this, that COVID, you should really advertise what you're doing in order to keep the public safe during your event. But I would also suggest strongly that you work very closely with the Board of Health, because it's not only daily that some of these rules at the state level are changing, it's almost hourly at this point. So
Absolutely.
it's so important to do that. But absolutely, you have my support on this. It's a great event.
Okay, super. All good comments. I appreciate it.
And online comment from Lori Witta that she does believe that it can be done. Okay, I think we've kind of exhausted a lot of the discussion on this, so I'd like to entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the use of the gazebo in area outside of the gazebo for the haunted gazebo sponsored by the Templeton Lions Club, pending all COVID restrictions in place by the state and recommended by our health agent are followed, and the town standard insurance certificate is provided to the town administrator's office on or before the close of business on October 22nd, 2020.
Second,
Excellent. I have a motion and a second. Yeah, I think Jeff beat Julie to that one. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none on the motion that has been seconded for the use of the Lions Club to use town property for the haunted house with all stipulations. How do you vote? Julie?
Yes.
Jeff?
yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes,
And I vote yes as well. Excellent. And let's move on to the other side of that. That is the use of town common for the Christmas tree. Mr. Terenzini, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I've noticed that we unfortunately omitted a specific draft motion on that. And I wonder if I might ask that the board approve the use of lands at the Templeton Center Fire Station, subject to approval by the fire chief for the sale of Christmas trees as outlined in the Lions Club request of August 21, pending all COVID restrictions in place by the state and recommended by our health agent are followed, and this town's standard insurance certificate is provided to the town administrator's office on or before the close of business the day prior to commencement of such sales.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Tim's got the second. Any further discussion on the sale of Christmas trees on town property? Okay, hearing none on that motion. How do you vote? Julie?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Terry?
yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you for making that much easier, Mr. Terenzini. Sue, Jim, thank you very much for coming on tonight. Mike, always great to see you. Have a great night, and I'm sure the planning will go very well. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for listening to us and giving your recommendations and advice.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
hanging in there for the public hearing.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to refer back to our agenda. The next item that we have this evening, actually, just very quickly, we have Haley Hepburn is on with us tonight. Carter, she's on for the HDAs?
Is observing. I believe we can move forward through this
Okay.
fairly quickly.
Okay. The next business that we have this evening is authorization to negotiate post-community agreements for Sugar Grove Limited Liability Company and directly after for Empress and Bandit Greenery Limited Liability Company. Carter or Adam, would you like to just give a quick overview?
Adam ran the community outreach meeting for these two. We've given you the YouTube link to those and the approximate time into the meeting at which each started. This is the process we have followed, in which first the opportunity is given an opportunity to see the proposals, review and comment. Adam can answer questions of the meeting that evening. We have not received any negative comment in our office since that meeting. We are requesting that you authorize me to negotiate the host community agreement with Sugar Grove LLC. We then bring that to you for your final action. They then can move forward with their licensure request to the Cannabis Control Commission. Adam is present and conducted the meeting. Ms. Hepburn is present, but I would emphasize that this agreement does come back to this board for review and action, most likely in probably 4 weeks.
Thanks, Carter. Adam, you have a hand up? Adam, you are go.
Yeah, I kind of moderated the community outreach meeting for both Sugar Grove LLC and Empress Bandit Greenery LLC. But with that, I thought it was pretty conductive. We learned a lot. I should say productive meeting, And I will save my time for Kaylee, who's on with us tonight. Thank you.
Okay, and Kaylee is representing who?
Kaylee is representing both proposers. So
Okay.
both, the first one will be Sugar Grove, and then I think she should stick to Sugar Grove LLC, and then you could proceed and go to Empress and Bandit Greenery. But they did complete the first step of the process for the CCC, which is having this hearing and sending the notices out and the like.
Okay. Is she observing tonight? Or is she, Kaylee, are you speaking, or is she open to any questions from the board?
Yes, I'm here on Zoom. I'm open to any questions if you guys have any. For now, we're just looking forward to starting negotiations with the town and getting our project underway.
Fantastic, thank you. I'll leave it up to the board. Any questions or action? Okay, I move to authorize the town administrator to negotiate the host community agreement with Sugar Grove Limited Liability Company.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions for either Adam or Kaylee? As Carter said, this will come back to us for action, but this in the interim allows the town administrator office to move forward. Adam, you had something else?
Yeah, I just wanted to also make note for people that didn't realize before, but the town have already signed off on 2 HCAs. So this would be our 3rd and 4th if they were to go through the negotiation process and the board were to sign off on both of these proposers
Okay.
moving forward.
Thanks for that, Adam. Okay, hearing nothing else. Tim, did you have something?
Oh, I was just looking over what's in front of me.
Okay. Okay, on the motion to authorize the town administrator to negotiate the HCA with Sugar Grove LLC, how do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes,
And I vote yes as well. I will also move to authorize the town administrator to negotiate the HCA or host community agreement with Empress and Bandit Greenery LLC.
Absolutely second.
Okay, any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none on that motion, how do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Carrie?
yes,
And I vote yes as well. Thanks, Adam, Carter, for your for the presentation tonight, and Kaylee, thank you very much for coming on and representing.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night. Okay, next item for business this evening is an authorization to award the contract for, drum roll, library roof. Mr. LaMontagne, would you like to walk us through the presentation on that?
This one's relatively simple. We went through the budget process, everything. This is coming out of the Nordford's gift fund, and it was already in the budget. I mean, granted, it's a donation account, if you will, and it went through the procurement process. As you can see, I wrote the memorandum to the select board and CC'd the town administrator. Everything's right there. The process was followed, and the attachment should be on the following page. And we just seek your authorization to execute a contract to La Rochelle Construction Inc. of South Hadley. And you could see that they were the lowest bidder in all regards, according to the bid results of September 2nd, 2020 at 2 p.m. And Jackie Prime's really looking forward to this. And she was really happy to hear that it was on the agenda the board. So
Adam, thank you. A lot of hard work, a lot of time waiting. So this is fantastic. I'll entertain any motions for action on the contract award for library roof.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize the town administrator to execute an award for a contract for the roof replacement and associated work project at Boynton Public Library to La Rochelle Construction, Inc. of South Hadley, Massachusetts, in the amount of $56,917, and further to authorize the town administrator to execute such change orders as are deemed to be in the best interests of the town, not to exceed $5,750.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion?
I just wanted to say, I think Tim beat me on that.
I think it was close. We'll co-second it.
I was gonna say break out the champagne.
It's not a bad comment. But you got to tell Jeff to wait until the end of the meeting.
I was thinking of Jackie.
I'm with Mike. I'm going with Jeff.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, on the motion to award the contract for the library roof to La Rochelle Construction Incorporated of South Hadley in the amount of $56,917. How do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks for all the hard work that went into that.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on in our agenda for this evening, we have the designation of OCS Director as agent to expend by trustees of Heating Energy Assisting Fund. And close behind it for an agent to expend by trustees of Arts and Culture Fund. Carter, you want to give a quick synopsis on that?
Sure. For those of you who read the budget versus actual each month, you see 8 individual small trust funds. Over the past 2 years, we have spent, and they have been unexpended for a substantial period of time. We have spent quite a bit of energy researching their specific purposes, and at the authorization of the select board, with each of these funds being substantially less than the statutory limit of 75,000, you allowed us to petition the Office of the Attorney General, the Charities Division, to merge 5 individual, and we gave you the list of those, into one single trust, which is used to provide heating energy assistance supplemental to folks in Templeton. That can be electricity, oil, propane, any form of heating energy. The select board, by the declaration of the Attorney General's office, are the trustees. We are asking that you authorize, as was consistent with the application, the Office of Community Services Director is the agent to expend. In this instance, we had worked out, and we have to yet circle back and get some final agreement with them. The same agency that currently administers the Low Income Heating Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP. That's the federal money that comes in to help many folks. They will take the applications, they will go through the income verifications, notify us of whom to pay, and we would then cut the check. So we're not going to have a lot of extra work on this. It's not a lot of money, thanks to the really sort of cratering interest rates, if you will. But in this first year, we will have $2,912 that we're able to help residents of Templeton with the bills for their heating.
Carter, I'm following along. I guess my question is, if the board moves to designate the Office of Community Services, are we authorized to delegate our role as the ex officio of that fund?
As trustees, yes, you are.
Okay. That's the only question I had, because I think it's the right office to do that. Any other questions for Carter, or any other concerns? Again, I think this was a win that we were able to unfreeze these funds that have stayed on the books for a long time and be able to use them appropriately, and have the right people in Overwatch for it.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, this was a 2-year effort,
Mhm.
taking well over 100 hours of staff time and some legal expense as well. Mr. Bennett has some experience, I believe, in prior years trying to chase some of this down. And while consuming and expensive, it was actually the cheapest route to get these consolidated and unfrozen and moving forward.
Okay, if there are any other questions, then I'll accept a motion for any action there too. In the background, our TCTV team is battling some hackers on the YouTube live stream. So good job, guys, deleting some of those comments. I don't even know what they were. They were deleting them so fast.
Oh, my goodness. Mr. Chairman, I move to designate the Director of the Office of Community Services as the agent to expend monies from the Heating Energy Assistance Fund for the purposes established in the approval received from the Office of the Attorney General, with said designation to remain effective until revoked.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none on the motion to make the Office of Community Services the agent to expend the Heating and Energy Assistance Fund. How do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And in a similar vein, Carter, it looks like we also have a recommendation for the Office of Community Services for the Arts and Culture Fund as well. And,
Yes, there were, my apologies, Mr. Chairman, I didn't mean to speak over you.
No, please go ahead. I just wondered if you had anything to add on that.
There were, in this instance, there were 3 relatively small funds. Each was dedicated in some fashion to arts or culture. So the Attorney General has approved the petition as authorized by the Select Board to merge those 3 funds into one that we have called the Arts and Culture Fund. The purpose of it is to provide funds to support the creation or preservation of works of public art, or to support programs open to the public on art, culture, and local history. So it could be murals, graphic displays, a historic map that the town has and it wishes to have it preserved and restored, a program on local history in which a speaker is brought in, anything of that nature. I've spoken with Jackie. She'll be working with the Cultural Council to get these funds out. Again, it's not a substantial amount for this fiscal year. It'll only be $414. But given always a need for more resources for these kinds of activities, I think it'll be welcome dollars, and we're getting these monies back into the use for our residents, which we were not able to do prior to this action of the Attorney General.
Thank you, Carter. And I'm just I'm highlighting on the screen that there was some additional language from that that ruling, and it mentions Office of Community Services. So we're really operating within the guidance handed down. So again, kudos to you guys for, I know it's a multiple year effort, and this is just one of the final steps to make sure that that money is being used. Number one, being used, and then in the intent that the spirit by which it was given. So very similarly, unless the board had any other questions, I'll entertain a motion to take action.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, Tim.
I move to designate the Director of the Office of Community Services to the agent to expend monies from the Arts and Culture Fund for the purposes established in the approval received from the Office of the Attorney General, and with said designation to remain effective until revoked.
Second,
I have a motion and I have a second from Jeff. Any further discussion or questions? Okay. Hearing none on the motion to designate the OCS director as the agent to expend the trustees of Arts and Culture Fund. How do you vote? Julie?
Yes.
Jeff?
yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Terry?
yes,
And I vote yes as well. Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on in the agenda. The next item that we have this evening is members for the Narragansett Regional School District Regional Agreement Committee. I believe we have a request for 2 members to sit on that committee. Carter, or actually Carter, I think you've been dealing with this much more, if not exclusively. Any background on that, or just come up with some members?
Well, interestingly, I'll be leaving 4 years and 3 months after we made this request. In October, I believe, Julie, you were on the board at that time, perhaps certainly around this time of the year. This has been a long time in coming. This will be a review of the regional agreement and may result in a variety of amendments being offered to the communities. I'm going to parse this into 2 pieces. The first would be a member of the Board of Selectmen or designee to serve on the Regional Agreement Amendment Committee. The second, as I go back and look at this, it's unclear to me as to whether or not this board is to appoint the 2 community members at large from each town. I certainly hope that would be the case, or it's the intent of the regional school district to do that. In either event, I might suggest that the board take action this evening on its selectman member or designee, and that we post seeking interest from community members at large from each town. We can then clarify with the superintendent whether they think those are their appointments to make, and if so, we can forward the applications to the school district. And if he confirms that it's the appointment of this body, we can bring those applications before you at a subsequent meeting.
Okay. I would definitely make a recommendation for at least, we have a liaison on the board. I'm struggling to remember who we voted for that. Tim, were you part of the liaison to the?
Yes.
The board? Okay, so
Yes.
I would definitely recommend Tim to sit on that. Was there any other select board member that wished to sit on there with him if that motion were to pass? Jeff? Okay. I move to designate from the select board Tim Toth and Jeffrey Bennett as the 2 members at large for the community on the Regional Amendment Committee to review and report upon the Narragansett Regional School District Regional Agreement.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Carter, you have a raised hand.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I want to revisit the way I parsed that. You have the authority to appoint a member of your Board of Selectmen and or designee. So I would, and then the matter of community members at large is separate. So I would respectfully suggest that perhaps Mr. Toth be the representative of the select board, with Mr. Bennett being the alternate. And then you could move on to dealing with the community members at large.
Okay, so I need more than 2 this evening is what you're saying.
We don't have anyone that's applied just yet, so if you cleared the deck with this suggestion, Mr. Toth as lead, Mr. Bennett as alternate, we could then advertise to let folks know that the board is interested in letters of interest from communities members at large. And then
Okay.
you could act upon those after that's been out there for, I don't know, let's say 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, I amend my motion to recommend Tim Toth as the select board representative with Jeffrey Bennett as an alternate, and to solicit public interest for members at large.
Second.
And I second that amendment.
Okay. And a motion, amended motion and an amended second, or an amended motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yep, please go ahead, Tim.
looking at the letter from the school district dated August 24th, as we get down beyond the center of the page.
Yep.
School committee requests the Board of Selectmen in each member town designate 1 member to serve as the RAAC. Committees also requesting a volunteer from Finance Committee in each member town, as well as 2 members from the RSC from each member town, and 2 community members at large from each town. So it sounds like we're appointing 6 or 7 individuals.
Yeah. And our advisory committee can take this up in their next meeting. I don't know, they just met last week.
Yep.
So at least we'd be able to be taking care of our responsibilities tonight.
If I had to read that about 6 times before it made sense to me.
Right. Anything else? Any further discussion? For Tim and Jeff? Okay. Okay, on the motion to make Tim our Board of Selectmen representative with Jeff as an alternate, and to solicit community interest in the at-large members, how do you vote? Julie?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, and I believe in the, so we've got a little bit of an option here at the end. So the last item on new business is the developer designation agreement with MPC Development Limited Liability Company for the redevelopment of Baldwinville Elementary School and associated lands. You should have got an 183-page document to review, and it really, even though it was a large document, it was the all-encompassing. Here's what MPC is going to do. Here was the bid process. Here's everything. That the first few pages is basically that agreement to say, this is how we're going to proceed. So we can take a vote on that this evening to approve the developer designation agreement or not approve it. Or if you have questions on it, we would need to move into executive session. So at this time, are there any, is there any kind of necessity for any further questions on the MPC developer? Again, this board did vote to give them the winning bid a few months back. So any questions, we'll have to go into executive session. If not, we can take action this evening. Okay, Carter, I'm not hearing from the board that there are any questions. I would ask the board if they want to take action on the developer designation agreement with MPC at this time.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm fine with taking action on this tonight. I mean, I'm speaking for myself.
I agree with Jeff. I'm ready to take action with this.
Okay,
Ditto.
all right. I move to approve the developer designation agreement with MPC Development Limited Liability Company for the redevelopment of the Baldwinville Elementary School in associated lands and for the several board members to execute the several copies thereof. And that's that.
Second,
Okay, I have a motion and a second. And that developer designation agreement, you do have a copy of it. Again, it's the first few pages and that we all have to sign. That's what that motion indicates, is that we all sign it. Okay, motion and a second. Really don't have an option for questions outside of a executive session. So I will do a roll call vote for the motion to enter into the developer designation agreement with MPC Development. How do you vote, Jeff?
Oh,
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, not a Holly, not a unanimous vote. Okay, that is the end of our new business for this evening. We do have the necessity for for executive session, but we do not need to make a vote at that time. So what we'll do is we'll have board and staff member comments. We will then vote on going into executive session, and I'll make sure that we address the proper Mass General Law for what kind of executive session. At that point, the recording will end, and I will make another announcement that the only reason that we would come out of that executive session is to end the public session. There will be no vote afterwards. Everyone clear on that? TCTV. So after we do board member and staff comments, then we'll enter into executive session. At this time, I'll entertain any board or staff member comments.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep, you're first, Tim. Go ahead.
We had a lot of reading this week. That was not a bad thing. And a few of those documents I had to read a couple times, so I made sure I understand them. I also laud the efforts of our Lions Club to move forward and continue the activities that we've enjoyed for so many years in this community. And I think it's a great effort on their part to continue to support our community.
Agreed. Thank you, Tim. Any other staff, board comments? Nope. Okay, looks like Jeff does not. I see Julie does not. Terry, you're good. Ooh, I do have some hand raising going on. So I don't know which one was first. Shall I go with beauty or age, Carter?
I was just giving a thumbs up. No comment.
Don't I satisfy both?
Well, you're speaking right now.
How do you have my vote?
All right, go ahead, please, Carter, go ahead.
Just three very important dates coming up for the community and those who are interested. We had the open house for folks who are interested in surplus equipment, everything where from kitchenware and some tables and office furniture, right up through the excavator that is for sale, old cruisers and the like. Those bids will be opened at 2 p.m. on September 15th. The document will have an addendum which is being issued tomorrow. There will be a new bid form in that. And we've taken to broadcasting the bid openings live on TCTV YouTube so that members of the public can observe that while the building is closed. So those bids are all due by 2 p.m. on September 15th. At 2 p.m. on November 19th, the Narragansett Regional School District will hold a district-wide meeting to try to settle its budget for FY21. A similar process as we went through last year. I believe they're intending to have it open air. I believe that the two town boards are meeting tomorrow evening to settle a moderator. But again, very important issue for the community, September 19th, 2 p.m. at the Narragansett Regional High School. Finally, we have 7 parcels of land that have been offered for sale. They were acquired through tax deed, the right of foreclosure, we have foreclosed the right of redemption on those. And that does include the property at 10 Pleasant Street, which may provide an opportunity for rehabilitation and development of a couple of apartments in town. Those bids are due into the board also at 2 p.m. on September 30. All of these documents are available online, and we encourage anyone interested in either the surplus property or these tax deeded parcels to give serious consideration to submitting a bid. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Thank you, Carter. Yep, it's 5 o'clock for the joint board and school committee is tomorrow to select a moderator. Adam, good evening.
Good evening. I just wanted to be relatively brief here. First, I want to congratulate Carter on being named the interim administrator in Grafton. That's a huge accomplishment, and I do want to just take a moment to thank Carter, Holly, the select board for everything and the learning experience and all of you brought forward to me and just the whole process. I want to take the time just to thank all of you. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Adam. Thank you to Carter. Yep, it's been a long road. Okay, any other staff member comments? Really, all we have left is TC.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep, please.
If I may have one quick second.
Sure.
I would invite everybody to join me in a brief moment of silence for those who were not aware. Scott Whittle's wife lost her battle with cancer. We lost her a little bit over a week ago. That's the second family member of the Whittle family. We lost Gail earlier this spring. I just want to keep the Whittle family in our thoughts and prayers.
Absolutely. So, absolutely, Tim. Let's please, we'll bow our heads in a moment of silence. Thank you very much for suggesting that. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. I'm sure they do too. Okay, if that's it for board member and comments, we are going to go into executive session. What that means for the stream and the recording, it will end. The Zoom will stay on. We will go into a breakout room. So TCTV will help us get that organized. And then we will be coming back out of that into this Zoom session, even though it's not being recorded, to publicly close the meeting. No vote will be taken at that time. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session per Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A-2, strategy negotiations with non-union personnel, and 21A-3, strategy and collective bargaining, and 21A6. Actually, not the 21A6.
Second.
Yep, so moved. And second. So, sorry, did I have a so move? Did I have the motion? I did basically just read it out. Oh, I saw Tim say it. Julie, you seconded it. And this is a roll call vote to go into executive session. So on the request to go into executive session with aforementioned Mass General Law, how do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay, so we will be coming back to come out of the public meeting. At this point, I will ask TCTV to cut the live recording and cut the live stream and the recording, and I will make a breakout room manually. I will add the members and it's the board members and Carter, or more than that.
And Adam.
And Adam, okay.
And we can keep Holly in for purposes of minutes.
Okay. Exec session. All right, here we go. Adam, Carter, Holly, Jeff, Julie, Terry, Tim. And you should have an option to join, and go ahead and click that.